please. But yeah, this is going to be very, very good for FUT, considering they had a great chance yesterday to move through the upper bracket. But if they're able to 2-0 here against Vitality, they're probably going to be the team that makes they're going to make a lower bracket run, surely.
Yeah, I think that their run, Fnatic into Vitality, like we were saying earlier, that's a tough run. So if they're able to do something today, like a 2-0 clean, like that's a very good sign going forward.
Oh my god! Safe is on the Yoru.
Oh no.
Durka has moved to the
very
race.
worried.
We have seen this on every iteration of rosters that Safe has been on. This is just...
I'm nervous.
I'm
very
yeah,
nervous.
I mean, this is, yeah, pull all the stops out, right?
Like
Right? Right?
Yeah, and for FUT, it looks like, do we get a fourth comp coming out of them into this? I don't think we do. I think this is
I messed up. They played this last
Yeah.
time. They switched away from the chamber. Yeah, the Vitality side, the last time I think Safe was doing this, he switched away from the ISO to the Jet and Haven, and it wasn't a great look, so he's got a lot to do this series. He didn't have a great map 1. He wasn't shooting at all in map 1, so he's going to have to turn that completely around in this map.
And if it helps, he has never played Yoru before. This is his debut here in the lower bracket for elimination. Mitch and Tom, have fun with this one.
Well, I think I have to align with Hybuck here, Tom. I'm a little worried.
You mean the concerned dads?
Yeah.
Oh no. Like super excited, and then the dad's in the corner like, no, I don't like it. I'm nervous. I'm excited.
Well, listen, it's certainly an exciting time to see what they can do, but momentum in FUT's favor, and now Vitality, as Sue said, pull out all the stops. Safe for the first time, debuting a Yoru in an official, not just down on that stage. That's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He had a stinker of a first map, but that's exactly why we wanted to see a swap up to a duelist, just maybe not this one.
If it fails, they're out. That's literally the point that we're at. If this fails, they are out of the tournament. They have to get ready for stage 2. Like, that is the spot that they have decided to pick this on. And there you go. As what I was mentioning is that since the start of partnership, FUT has always made that second Masters of each year since they've been in. So this is a squad that is looking to make that lower bracket run, is looking to have made improvements since adding in Zeus. And you know what? They are looking to get straight off to the races. Safe will do a lot of early damage, but he's also taken a lot of early damage.
Tianajay with the opening pressure on him, though. Durka quick to trade it out, and the site seems to be theirs. They still have to cross through, though. Zeus dealt with, and that'll at least get a plant out of this situation. A 3 versus 4.
So
Vitality of so many players inches away from death.
Without a captain and a classic, definitely nervous. Les looking to try and get back around, but it's already Durka within that site. Managing to get it to half. They've got to be a little bit careful. Spam's coming through. They're going to try and body block this and just stick it, but there comes the double. Oh, from behind, Krax has managed to find some, though. That time is ticking away. Les is going to be revealed. He knows roughly where he is. Needs to land the shot. He's run out of bullets. It will be Les to get a freebie. Oh, Krax did so well, but there was no more in the clip.
That's tough. One more bullet there, and maybe he would have had him. A few shot into the abyss. 1-0 for Vitality, and a much-needed pistol round to set them on course. They need to bounce back on Split and take us to Ascent, where they will then fight to continue this lower bracket run. As you said, Tom, elimination on the line, and this is the map that could send them home. Big risks, the composition they've brought to bear, and all eyes are going to be on Safe. How this Yoru is going to be put to play by Vitality, and how he can perform now that he's on that duel list, already opening up Mr. Fallen Down, and almost a second.
But that has been, I think, part of the downfall of his individual ability, has been playing roles where he's less about I'm the tip of the spear, I'm the aggro, I'm the first guy taking the fight. So I think putting him back into this position, it gives a lot of opportunities. Calling from the front rather than from the lineups or the setups, which has been on the Teo, and have the potential of being caught with utility in hand. For now, FUT have next to nothing to play with. Amar even getting seized, still had a captain, almost manages to get the job done, but should be a relatively easy position from here on out, and even gonna do some pretty good orb management on the Vitality side.
I can't wait to see for Vitality in these bye rounds as they come up. The look that they're gonna have, you imagine a much more direct approach with Safe leading the pack from the front, with Durka and himself diving in on the duelists. That's a dangerous duo for anyone to deal with, and then some of that supportive utility has been fantastic. Seavoff, we've already seen an early round lurks on the Omen, being able to take a lot of that later space as your opponents, at least in there, might hopefully overreact to the direct play in the early rounds.
This is literally what made that like Haven comp work initially. Was, okay, we're just gonna take Safe, one of the best duelists in the world last year, or at least in EMEA, and then we're gonna take Durka and put him on a duelist, probably the best duelist in EMEA last year. So it's like, it feels like a band-aid fix, but one that could very much work for them.
Especially if you're not ready for it. And then look, if they came in today on FUT thinking, yeah, Safe might pick up the Yoru here on Split, then someone needs a raise. Maybe everyone does.
Good
I reckon
boy.
guys somehow saw it coming.
Nice.
He knew it was going to happen someday, but did he know it would be today? 2-0, and FUT pulling out the rifles, but Vitality are in a very healthy position. This is effectively a full buy with Seavoff picking up the mantle of that Marshal. But now there's a rifle on the floor. Zeus winning the battle of the Yorus when it comes to the full buys, setting them up with a man advantage early.
But yeah, that is the difference though, is that I think we can expect that Safe is going to be hard to play against, but Zeus at times is the hardest player in the league to play against. Individually, whether things have gone well or bad for FUT, it seems like a lot of the time he has been there. And you think even back to their defeat, just yesterday, he still had some flashes in the pan even when they weren't able to take that victory over Fnatic. They've definitely got to be careful. A man down already, 3 rifles in hand, and at least it was 3 players on the A site. I think maybe that little bit of extra information might just pull one back.
Now we've got deep information as you're highlighting towards B. Passive Heaven control on B as well. In fact, just passive control across the board, really respecting some of that early dueling ability that Vitality have. Holding on the site, that nade though is going to force Cracks into the open. A Battle Dirk is happy to take site now under pressure. Zeus comes in to fill the gap.
Got 15 seconds.
Patiently as the time ticks away. Yeah, they need to make a move. Although now he's been spotted. No more element of surprise. Big swing from Seavoff. They found their pick, but they need the plant. 6 seconds on the clock and out of ammo. Yenaje goes down, but they've managed to get that plant in. Seavoff, 1v2. He needed that onto Ada Captain immediately, but he's picked off, and the round goes to FUT. A narrow margin in it, though.
If they lost another round to running out of ammo, I would have lost my mind.
Oh,
That would have been a rough one, but no, a good resurgence in the end, and clearly Vitality very happy to leave it late. Maybe having that expectation of, okay, someone's going to overpeak, someone's going to swing. Thinking back to Fracture, that was happening every single round. Like, they were taking those fights, but it was calm and methodical in the end. And that'll be enough, but of course, still going to be a repurchase here. Now, Dirk has got off to a decent start. Showstopper already online, something he can look to implement in the early round, and already looking like a battle for this mid control.
Certainly, but not off rip. We're gonna wait a moment. Let that orb go up to block out the line of sight. That was FUT's orb, of course. Yenaje using it to reposition into heaven. That leaves vents open, and that's exactly where they're going. Walking their way in there with the Han. Solid position early on for Vitality. They've got some map control to bounce off of the springboard into. Trying to make up for what they've lost. Is Zeus aggressive? Is this B main aggro actually? Yeah. 2 players, Mr. Fallen and Ada Captain, pushing up, and I don't know that they're going to stop.
It's going to come down to how much can Zeus do. In fact, it's nothing. He just gets the info, falls back. Doesn't have a lot of support, and the timing here for Safe is everything. If he can find Cracks, it could be huge, but instead, he's also just ducked back towards the site, and with this mid-flank coming, the longer Vitality take, the more terrifying this position comes. Of course, that Showstopper is still available for the entry.
They heard that gate crash. They know that he's potentially going to TP onto the site. Oh, nice pick by Cracks! Late pigeon shooting, finding that in the TP, very much expected, but less. Gets the element of surprise up top, pounces for a double, but that's all he'll get. Seavoff in a familiar position, but the spike not planted this time, and players everywhere. Great adjustment by FUT. You gotta give it to Krax, that was a nasty shot.
I think the weirder thing for Vitality is you've just come out of that Fracture game expecting your opponents to be ridiculously aggressive, and this has been the most patient and calm FUT I've ever seen in my life. Really slowly taking B main control. They're using paranoia, smokes, they're even keeping that control. Then you have the initial aggression that comes out from Zeus. He hears any sound, he's like, I don't fancy taking this fight, I will fade away. The guy that was running it down A main every round on the defensive side has gone, no, I will fall back to site and play nice and calm. And so he gets down to 20-second mark there, going in blind, and now he's back to his old tricks. Knowing he's up against the low buy, all right, I'm gonna brawl.
And last round as well, just to say, the fact that Krax gets pressured by your player Durka diving in with the ult, he has to fall back out of that top position. But he knows when that gate crash that he's been warning about for 30 seconds now, when that comes in, Zeus will be the one to take that player down. He emerges from the smoke just in time while Krax is covering the main walkout. A beautiful trade-off of responsibilities, and that just comes with trust and playing with each other a lot. You can see now FUT 2-2, man advantage, and passive plays up against these weaker weapons. The danger is Mr. Fallen. For a second there, they could have pushed up as a unit, 3 players blitzing into him, but he's again created that extra little bit of space.
Stun to slow them down.
Salvo's
and a
on.
passive fallback. And a captain coming in from behind. The problem, though, is he might be a little bit late to the party. Mr. Farland's goal, once again, is just to try and slow them down as much as possible, but he's under some serious pressure. Smoke will be there to cover him and still just surviving within this smoke, even potentially going to go through it. That's the spike on the ground. Another coming up with Anna Captain finally making that long rotation through. Well, only one standing. Seavoff in these same positions again and again and again. 3-2. Very clean stuff from FUT.
It really is just textbook Valorant there. Even the smoke going down from Ada Captain, that provides a little bit of extra space, allowing for this player on site, Mr. Fallen, to stay alive that bit longer while he completes the wraparound through middle, knowing even if they were in mid, they would which they were, not long ago when he pushed B main, they were. But that they would have to go towards the site. Maxi's dealing with one player with a weaker weapon, and in fact he was dealing with none, so the backstab comes in to complete that arc with Mr. Fallen. Beautiful play, and 3-2 as a result. The lead is now there for FUT. I don't know how Ada Captain wasn't actually caught by that Prowler. Angle slightly off, I suppose.
The interesting thing with this is that Vitality have basically, other than Astra for Omen, they've taken the Fnatic comp from yesterday that beat FUT, like using the exact same composition. The thing is, I think Fnatic are always very good at those very late round executions, whereas so far for Vitality, it has just been a complete failure in that regard. And although sure, FUT haven't had a mass amount of time to adapt from yesterday, you've kind of given them an opportunity to learn from the mistakes.
Exactly. You think they've come in here with no idea what went wrong yesterday? It's going to be most of what they talked about. The reality is, we'll see that in the second half. If I remember correctly, the Fnatic game, it was FUT struggling on the attack. I think 4 rounds in the first half. So we'll see if they maybe need a really big margin coming out of this one. I don't know where the expectations are to be set, but again, with the learnings from the previous day, Vitality have their work cut out for them. Not just in that second half, but in this round as well. With Kicks and Durka down, 3 players coming in through Heaven, but this super passive hold that FUT have shown in almost every round towards this A site so far. They are playing back, allowing Vitality to take the space, confident on their crunches after. With Krax down, there's still more players than they should expect. Zeus saves the day with the double. Just 1 left, and he'll clean him up too, making it look easy against Seavoff, and putting 4-2 on the board with money in the bin for the attacking side.
All I'm going to say is Seavoff's clutch statistics are getting blitzed in this map. He's been in, what, like 3-4 already? 1v3 scenarios at the end of rounds.
1v3, and now this.
This one was actually tougher because you had those early fights into middle. It was something we mentioned, that the defensive side were leaving pressure around that part of the map, and they get 2 openings. The second that happens, it almost looks like it's done. And, well, Vitality are going to take themselves a pause. You can understand it. You win the pistol second round and then 4 in a row for that defense. And a lot of them have looked incredibly comfortable for FUT.
I have one real question, and that's, do you think that Yedishe gets that loud in scrims as well? There's no way, right? No man's throat can withstand that amount of screaming.
Well, you say that. I'm going to bring this up again. Do you remember the last time we casted Ascent?
I do, yeah.
Was he chill?
23.
It was chill for 48 rounds.
We went into round
No.
45. It was still the same
That's
level.
probably longer than most of his scrims.
That's practice. That's practice. And the most impressive thing is there's never a voice crack. There's never a break. Push him to the limits.
I don't know. I think he's got a place in a rock band after this.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's heavy metal. He's got some screaming ahead of him on the mic. That's for sure. Not just on the server. 4-2. It is a bit of a screamer for FUT. They're looking good, they're feeling good, and the advantages keep on stacking with ults now in play. Vitality on a weaker buy as well.
There you go. Durka has always made grand final center of the regular season, looking to try and lead the charge with the Bucky. Fortunately, he's already been somewhat denied. Now, Zeus has been switching up his position almost every single round. I think Les managed to get quite a bit of ground in the last, so maybe just looking to try and remove him from position. But for who Zeus is, he has been incredibly tempered with his aggression. This timing, well, it could have been nice, but I think the screen unfortunately fading. And once again, you've got almost full A ramp control, full B control, mid currently open, but they are well aware of it on the FUT side. Where is the opening for Vitality? Because they haven't found it yet.
Yeah, this late stage play again, gate crash back to A site, but normally they haven't been keeping as aggressive control of Heaven. It could be their downfall against this weaker play. The fact that you've got Yedishe holding on to that control to play up from vents, they can put pressure on from every side. That's what Vitality tried to do. Try and fail. As those players in vent fall, as this round seems to come crumbling down. 20 seconds again, feeling the pressure of that clock as we get deep into the round. 14 seconds, they need to get a move on. And we know that this site is stacked heavy every time. Salvos slow them and the round's already done. There is no way for that plan to come through, but they can cause damage. They can bleed the credits, maybe not dry, but a little bit lower.
It ends the same.
Fortunately, Zeus with a 3-piece. Let's 5-2 on the board.
He used his dimensional drift just for safety, just to make sure that they had the right read, which they did. But I like this setup. You've had that sort of crossfire in towards the vents. It's been a position that Vitality have been consistently putting the pressure on, and well, so far that double duelist, like the whole point of having that sort of raise Yoro is it's meant to throw your opponents into disarray. Find me a moment where FUT were in disarray. They've been incredibly comfortable, they've been passive, they've been patient. This is not the expectation of this composition already. Looking to pick up the pace a little bit, looking to try and catch them off guard. Pressure placed onto Krax. He's actually going to use the Nightfall just to try and get him out of there, and Safe has done well, but Yedishe has done even better! It's 2 kills already from this aggressive position. Safe managed to get past, but nobody else even made it into sight.
And they needed Safe. They needed that player to link up with. Instead, now they're in a position where you're pushing through a smoke, running into open territory where you've got no idea what lurks around any of those corners. And this is a position where, hell, looking at the economy, you could see a save at this point. But normally there'd be a lot less time on the clock. A 1 minute 15 save would be a new thing to see. I think they're resetting to try to hit the other side of the map and see what they can get out of this. Making it to a site, less with a Viper's Pit. This is still winnable, but this is a very much an uphill battle. At least they still have that, I suppose not second smoker, I suppose Les is more the second smoker. But with the wall down, Seavoff being alive is essential to get them onto B site.
Yeah, the worry is most of the time when you avoid the A site, you won't be running into Zeus. But they are running into Zeus. Homed in on the angle, nice shot on the first. Ada Captain is there, but I don't think he wants to overface this one. Viper's Pit might be utilized. Never mind, Ada Captain does want to do that. And with the tail utility going in, the salvos is going to deny them a
10
plant.
seconds left.
They've only got 10 seconds to try and get this in. Paranoia being sent through, TP behind it, and whoa, that's a nasty surprise. Sevo in another 1v3, hasn't gone well.
Yeah, and even if Mr. Fallen loses that fight, second player won't be able to trade him out from behind that wood. A very nice play from Ada Captain, delaying them, putting the pressure on. The salvos do the same. We talked about the ultimates, the Viper's Pit being one of the main things that could have given them something to, that's nasty. Could have given them something to play with. The reality is now ults stacked up on the other side, two very impactful ones. Yedege has the pit, Mr. Fallen. Armageddon online.
Nice, man.
For Vitality, well, they'll have to pray for something to go differently. This is momentum carried through from that first map. Vitality win the pistol, they win the anti-eco, but since then, it is a sea of cyan with 6-2 on the board. FUT, they're taking everything except for prisoners.
Flash. Oh, actually, Dirk has managed to correct his aim. It's a surprise he gets away with that one. Tries to survive the second, and well, Ada Captain with an immediate trade. It's the first time we've really seen a proper battle for B main. Oh, Viper's Pit. Spam almost gets rid of Yedege. You could see he's maybe a little bit nervous, but just wanted to make sure that, okay, when we haven't been able to capture B main as we have in every other round, I'll capture mid instead.
That early pick was nice, but Durka going down. Viper's Pit locking off mid.
Now they've got B main anyway.
Serious problem. The one thing is, Krax has just sent the Prowler through on A. He sees nothing with it and gets quite a bit of info, quite a bit of distance rather, on that Prowler. This might make them think about stacking up heavier towards that B side with the one extra man they have of Mr. Fallen, but he's still in position. The haunt goes through, the information now there. And never mind Mr. Fallen leaving for the other side of the map. In fact, they've even let the Viper's Pit fall without a captain covering
like
that.
Everyone.
They are so certain this will be an A play. And they couldn't be more right about that. 20 seconds.
Yeah, there's such a huge error. No one shot the horn. They were too busy thinking about, okay, who's going to shoot it so we don't give the full game away. And now they've got to try and run into a stack site. It's a bit of a whiff from Mr. Fallen, but the time is ticking once again. They managed to clear at least one of them. That leaves it down to the remaining two. One of the best scenarios we've seen for Vitality so far. Mistakes were definitely made, but they could look to rectify. Patient stuff, the trade back, and Ada Captain finds him through the smoke. It was the best chance of Vitality, even with everything going, oh, completely wrong. And yeah, go on. Flex the spray at the end of the round, Ada Captain. You have earned it. 7-2.
It's all about FUT right now. 7-2. Opening pick even went against FUT. And they're able to recover. It was Ada Captain to pick up the first piece and the last. That one,
That's painful.
That's caused issues. Even still, Mr. Fallen was still in position. They had that read. If it was shot, you still know there's players there.
I think Yedege does leave his Viper's Pit. That was the difference, is that you had an early rotation from Mr. Fallen anyway because of B main and because of mid, but he just leaves the Viper's Pit because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, there's a chance he would have done that anyways just off it being broken, but without a captain covering it. But it certainly pulled the trigger for them. Big mistake, a big cost paid. And a captain was blind, and he still tagged up Durka. Now he's taking another, fakes the TP out, and it almost worked. The picks go back the other way, though, for Vitality. A 3 versus 3 they've ended up in. A real chance for the attackers to pick up a round.
Mr. Fallen wasn't sure if Safe actually stuck the TP or faked it. Viper's Pit still available. It has been for a while for less, and yeah, I think definitely a time to try and invest it. The battle of Krax versus Sevov could end up being incredibly important. It's such an unorthodox position, and Sevov with another triple kill. We've seen so many in that first map. Yedege looking to try and push through and clear him, and actually Let's has gone down. He's been taken out by the salvos. That's the Viper's Pit gone. Yedege now finds another. This was looking like, again, a great opportunity. And now Sevov, he needs to ace. He needs to find it all for them to be able to win this already. Looking to try and tag that to half, and his head has been spotted over the top of the box. It will be The defusal coming in for FUT, and I don't know how they've won that one.
Man, my heart goes out to Sevov. That's the 6th clutch he's been in on this map so far.
He got 3 kills in that round.
One, and he needed an ace to win this one. Trying to carry them kicking and screaming through this round, but just too much asked. And the captain getting that double, phenomenal. But they recover from it. Not only finding the picks to level up the scoreboard in that sense.
Oh, there was nowhere to go.
But then the pit going down, Safe not being able to take Yedije, who was caught looking the other way. And you can see Sevov being left last alive 6 times and feeling those rounds slip out of his grasp, feeling the gap extend in FUT's favor. That's got to be tough.
You mentioned that they struggled to get rounds on the attack. Right now, it's not looking like they'll need too many rounds. Maybe even a pistol will do the job.
Held a 4-8 will get them an OT.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't look like they're slowing down much.
Well, this is really where Faded needs to earn that paycheck, because we are currently sat with the team that won kickoff. Now, we haven't seen that before. The kickoff fall-off. I think it was, what, KC last year. Not being able to sort of replicate the same sort of success, but it's not the same team. We're talking about a Durka Safe less squad. And don't get me wrong, like Kicks and Sevov are no slouches. It's just the other 3 have quite a lot of caliber to their name.
That stat hasn't held up here, I'll tell you that.
But they also haven't had many openers. They've been kind of slammed in a lot of scenarios.
2 rounds.
Zeus is running it down again. Back to his old tricks. Paranoia even sent through. They're just trying to get rid of less.
It seems to be the case that every time they've had that opening, it's traded back almost immediately.
Oh, don't you dare.
Yeah, no, you've got to back off on that one. Destroying the gate crash as well. Less pressure put into the backside. Here comes the showstopper. Weaker weapons in play, certainly on Safe, but that rocket will make up for it. Mr. Fallen down and out. And this is the best chance they've had so far. 5v4 conversion is high. This was a 5v3, but we're back to equal footing. Safe trying to pull it back, but he's dropped by Zeus. And again, the pressure put on as the flanker's down. It's all onto Kicks. This looked like a shoo-in, a 3rd round at last. But instead, it's another clutch for Vitality. Not Sevov this time, but still an impossible task with Zeus putting up the quad kill for 9 rounds. FUT are hammering Vitality into the dirt.
I can't believe they came back from that. Like, you lose the double opener straight into the site. Player goes in with the showstopper to clear out the back, and then the first one is just madness, like full 180 from Ana Captain. But from here on out, it's the Zeus show. They're just thriving with all of these fights, reading every position, by the way. The spin around to catch the player from behind, and well, the screams are going to echo all the way back to the coaches, because the fact is, the call was right, the play was right, the decision was right.
Everything was perfect.
They still don't manage to win the round. Multiple retakes that should have gone in their favor. Well, you can see the confidence has only been growing. FUT, they started so passive, but they're getting more and more aggressive as the game goes by, because I'm not going to lie, Vitality look dead.
They do, dead in the water. Blinding. You really have to look at that initial plan. That's really where the preparation comes in, right? That's the first 30 seconds, the first minute, the first
Don't lose a 5v3 is not a call from the coach.
No, exactly. And those 5v3s, those 5v4s, the fact that we just flew a stat that shows they're one of the best teams. Might have even said the best, but certainly way above the average when it comes to 5v4 conversions, and a 5v3 lost. Recovering here with a 3rd round would be nice.
No.
The captain stayed in the corner.
They have to check it. He's done stuff like this so many times as well, just with these bait TPs. Krax is already in to support, though, hiding within, and they don't expect him. I think he even got tagged by a vulnerable from Yedije from above, and a captain is still somehow here. Eventually, again, it goes down to running out of ammo. That's been FUT's biggest weakness in this map, has been running out of bullets. But I'm seeing a clutch scenario. I'm seeing FUT with what is now a 9-round streak. Does it finally end at the end of the half?
Once it's not Vitality in the clutches, been tough so far. I like this though, stacked up on the backside of firing squad. An impossible task for Yedeje. He swings in and he's out of the round. Vitality, 3 rounds on the board at the half. But like we said, for FUT, even that 4-8 we called a weakness, well here it would be enough to take them across the line.
Yeah, it has looked like some severe problems for the side of Vitality. They need to dig deep, otherwise they are out.
Kickoff curse against the 9-3 curse. It's time to see which one will prevail. FUT versus Vitality. A map 3 on the cards, but for Vitality, that seems a long way away. 6 just to equalize. A long road back into this game, Tom, and for FUT, it's all about momentum. Disrupted in the very last round, but I don't think they're going to let that get to them.
No, I think they are thriving. We've seen top performances from pretty much every single player within the server. The only stat that really goes in that other favor is the fact that, well, that one's more about Vitality, but the fact that the attack sides of the 3 times we've seen it this year, a 4-8 attack, a 3-7 attack, and a 1-11 attack for the side of FUT. So they definitely do struggle. And also the fact that they're yet to win this map this year. This would be the first, maybe when they need it most. An aggressive start into the round, but it is Durka to start. We're back in a 5v4.
Pistol essential here for Vitality. And Durka's already grabbed himself a double kicks, steps up to the plate for more. It's Cracks isolated in the open to finish out the round. Vitality have claimed their much needed pistol. Still so much more to do.
It's a very weird scoreboard to see a team win both pistol rounds and only have 4 rounds. That is not something you're going to see too often. So there's definitely a very, very long way to go. The Snade to kick things off.
Enemy remaining.
Durka.
Let's go, guys. Guys, good job, good job, Durka. Good job on B.
Looking to get them back into this one. Still feeling like there is an opportunity. Look back to them versus Fnatic, an 8-4 defensive half in that 18-16 victory. We know that they can play the long game. We know that they can dig deep into this one, but when you look at the individuals, when you look at the players who have been performing throughout this series so far, they are definitely on FUT side. There really isn't an argument to be had there.
Even in a round like this, I'm nervous. Nice conversion, nice pick on Ada Captain lurking out on B. The opening pick going to FUT made me a little bit scared, especially with the stat we just saw. But I imagine that's hampered a little bit when your opponents are on classics. Range very much in Vitality's favor, and it's kicks to pretty much secure this one. Mr. Fallen, it's not like he's got a Bucky. It's just the classic to play with on backside.
Doesn't have a Bucky or his ultimate.
Exactly, yeah.
Those 2 things might be able to save him, and well, they now know exactly where he is. A big round from Kicks as well. Farming up those additional ultimate orbs towards that nightfall. Definitely going to be important. And that's the thing, I look at this Vitality squad heading onto the defense. They need to get that momentum, and I think that's exactly what they've done here.
Yeah, the rest of the shots were nice. That one was a little bit lucky, but we'll give it to him anyways. this is what we want. And we already saw in the pistol round, Sevov getting the squad a little bit hyped up, keeping that positive energy flowing, and that's essential when you're in this stage of the game. If this was a group stage matchup, if this was week 2, maybe you'd come in and go, okay, they're going to write it off. You might see less energy behind that. It's only natural. But here, this is your last chance in stage 1.
NRG.
Leaks? Sorry, FNS.
Already. Defensive side, having that early aggression, but very quickly fading away from it. Invested quite heavily into the rifles in the last round, so this buy definitely has some bite. Now, FUT themselves have the guns in hand. Zeus already just a few away from having that dimensional drift, and Durka, he's looking to try and catch a timing. He has to be careful of the flash, and in fact, they both get caught. The 1-2 punch of Zeus and Cracks, and this round is already in turmoil.
Save goes down, not an easy position to connect from. Marshall in the open on A, mid-rotate as he's picked off, and now the A site very much taken. In fact, they're even gonna, they have so much time, and they go for an orb. And then the plant, so Zeus will have ultimate online, not expecting to have any battles to fight. And indeed he won't. Out of captain.
Yeah, he's not falling for that anymore. No. You have done that about 6 times in this game.
Every time, I think.
Just teleport into the same position and go, there's no way anybody's going to expect that.
Yeah, well, he can't keep getting away with this.
If at first you don't succeed, try.
Poison orb emitting.
Funnily enough, he did succeed quite a few times.
Exactly.
It's now just the mind games. It's like, if I now go the other way, they're going to expect that. So I've got to now not go the other way because I didn't go the other way last time.
Condition them by never doing it.
Exactly.
You think you're going to do it eventually.
Yeah, they're like,
Surely
there's no way
do it
he's
again.
still doing that.
But he does.
Now for FUT, 10 rounds guaranteed already. And as I said, there was some bite to that round. There was a decent amount of rifles invested into for Vitality. Still though, Kicks with ultimate ready for the next, and they will still be able to purchase quite comfortably. In fact, I'm wondering if Safe may even be looking to get an operator in here.
Well, I'm seeing what's on the server, and it looks like he is.
Cheating.
This is going to be it all put in 10-5, everything, indeed. The life of stage 1 on the line. They'll put the credits up to match it. Operator for Safe. Early pick towards the B site, perhaps, but take a look at where FUT are. All 5 players looking at that A site. It will be the old sent through to find the info. One spotted. What's Zeus's idea? Salvo's in play. Decoy sent, and a great flash. That is beautiful from out of captain. The paranoia lands, and with it the opening pick and the A site falling. Durka, the last bastion of defense, trying to sneak forward and get some space. In fact, he's not cleared his corner.
Yeah, why would he expect that a captain to just be sat there watching another obscure angle and what?
Save already?
Yeah, I don't think there's much more they could do. That execution was wonderful, by the way. They put the salvos in. It's a teleport into the salvos, but also you know that, okay, now if I paranoia, he can't go back up against the wall and get away from it. There's no way for him to go. Like, it really is just picture perfect from the side of FUT of how they got into that site. And once you get the opener and Durka gets caught, all right, we talked about, I don't think we saw their 4v5 conversion was awful.
Yeah.
I don't think their 3v5 is going to be any better.
With an op on the retake, yeah, I can see why they're not feeling that. And I think the only damage done to FUT in that round was salvos onto Zeus as he came out of his ultimate.
Yeah. So it was from his teammate, is what I'm trying to say.
So it's not exactly an inspiring position. And look at that, it was literally the only damage done. We end up 11 rounds on the board for FUT. And the most important thing is they've lost the pistol in the follow-up in both halves. That's 4 rounds. Vitality have 5. So if you're looking for hope, I ain't got any for you. This is a FUT game. They are going to dominate based on what we're seeing, and Vitality need a major turnaround. Now, the save that they just played is their one opportunity. Operator still in play, rifles across the board. If you lose this one, your chances of pushing to OT, not just with the amount of rounds you need, but where your economy is going to be at. Let's just say, Vitality fans, you better hope this turns into 11-6.
Back to kickoff. The upper bracket matchup between FUT and Vitality. And it was 13-4 in Vitality's favor to send them into the lower bracket is looking like a completely different story this time around, but Durka is there to find the start. He's definitely been like one of the few beacons of hope in this map, at least. Looking better on the Rays, but what it's done to the rest might not have been worth it. A post plant once again. All they have to do is convert that advantage.
Durka, nice blast pack. They still win the duels though. And another for Zeus. It's a 3v2. The advantage back into FUT's court. But safe. But the operator, he's picked off a key player. The one that was on site. Now the pressure on. But it's on to safe instead. 45 HP. And a one-way smoke blocking him out from any real hope of taking this round across the line. The defuse no longer possible, saving the op, an equally difficult task. He's boxed in. The spike set to explode, the flash good, but out of captain's there. Nothing for Vitality in the next round. And 12-5, it's 7 in a row needed.
I think if you want to look back throughout the performances of this stage, I think this has to be the peak of a captain. Like, the man has been insane all the way through. Zeus, obviously, the man is inevitable, it seems. But from that position, like, you have to look at that. That's another scenario where it's a 4v5. The statistic looking like it's being obliterated by FUT in this matchup alone. And with 7 in a row needed for Vitality to survive in stage 1, it is looking like FUT will be the ones to continue forward in this tournament, look to make that 3 streak of matches to take themselves to Toronto. We said it, they don't miss out on both Masters. That's not a common thing since partnership began. FUT have always been there. And this is a statement.
They've left the gap in that smoke. Originally, it was Sivov trying to put the pressure on, but he gets forced back off the angle because Ada Captain was watching and waiting. They send Safe in now. Operator in hand, flash used. There's players here. Yedajay's going to peek, but the shot isn't landed. This was a big opportunity. The man advantage potentially, but now Sivov is isolated. And Safe stuck up close. He's not caught by the ult. But one player is, that might sell out the fake. They might not expect him to still be so close, and he'll get his reward, but Yedajay pulls it back into their favor. Now the op stuck behind a smoke. They need another hero. Showstopper fired in for another. Vitality with a real opportunity. Both players spotted. Nade in on the seas. Mr. Fallen barely survives, holding on for dear life, but Safe sends him packing. 12-6, the beginning of a monstrous comeback, at least Vitality have to hope it is.
Yeah, I think they used both pauses in the second, so it is literally down to, or sorry, in the first half. It is down to them at this stage. No call-ins, no check-ins, unless Geist decides to give them one. Which, I'll be honest, I think for a few rounds he's not going to be doing so. No. You've already seen your opponents utilize pretty much everything in terms of ultimates. Nothing is close at this stage, and a plant with Yedajay ready on that Viper's pick could be enough to put this to bed. Safe stepping up though. Well, it's necessary.
Absolutely. Oh! What? Zeus! In such a crucial time for Vitality, pulling out a play like that. The pit now blocking off so much the pathway they'd like to use to get back in. The plant secured, and an operator through a pit. Oh, this is disastrous. Of all the times to make a play like that, Zeus, he may be out of the round, but his mark on this round is clear.
Playing time. They have the ultimate ready, Salvos, yeah. In a matter of seconds, this clock might be enough for them to win this, and they still have a couple of other snakes within the grass. They also have to try and deal with every other piece of utility in play. Ada Captain puts one more on the body pile, as Vitality look like they might be going out with a whimper Sivov, unless all that stands in the way of FUT, and they will not stand much longer. FUT send Vitality packing.